It's 6 p.m. on a Wednesday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. President Park Geun-hye meets with hundreds of officials, business leaders, and executives and emphasizes more must be done to diversify export items. She also tells them to take full advantage of the country's numerous MOUs, FTAs, as well as its growing global popularity. The jobless rate in South Korea was significantly lower in April, with more than 250,000 new jobs created, but the youth unemployment rate did not go down in tandem with the total digits. North Korea says it wants to have military talks with the South and work towards denuclearizing the world, but in sharp contrast, the regime will also continue to develop nuclear weapons. Senior government officials and the heads of Korea's biggest business groups gathered at a forum in Seoul to share the results of President Park Geun-hye's recent trips to Mexico and Iran. President Park said the lucrative agreements must function as momentum to boost Korea's economic growth, and she suggested ways of fostering new growth engines. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
29 MOUs with Mexico and 66 with Iran. That's how many agreements were signed during President Park Geun-hye's recent summit with the two countries. President Park, speaking at a forum held Wednesday to share the results of her recent overseas trips, encouraged business leaders to explore the new markets now open to them.
새로운 시장을 개척하는 노력이 더욱 강화되어야 하겠습니다. 도행지성이라는 옛말처럼 없던 길을 우리가 먼저 다니면서 만들어 가야 합니다.
Going forward, the government will check on the status of the MOUs to make sure they're fulfilled. President Park also made note of the free trade deals Korea has with the world's major economies, saying that they too can boost exports, which, when coupled with Korea's brand value, can appeal to Hallyu or Korean wave fans. The business leaders in attendance asked for more chances to meet with local buyers in new markets. In line with their creative economy drive, President Park also encouraged entrepreneurs to venture into markets both at home and abroad, using innovative ideas that can appeal to consumers beyond borders.
어떤 새로운 아이디어를 가지고 기가 막힌 제품, 어디도 따를 수 없는 최고의 제품과 서비스와 또 어떤 시스템을 이렇게 만들고 개발을 한다면 그거는 내수 수출이 따로 없고 국내에서도 잘 시장에서 인기를 끌 거고 해외도 그럴 거라고 생각을 합니다.
The Korean leader called on smaller companies and startups to actively participate in overseas business opportunities while emphasizing the potential of new export items in the smart city, e-commerce, and energy-related sectors. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
President Park Geun-hye isn't the only one promoting the benefits of close relations with Iran. A state-run institute says the economic benefits reaped from advancing into the Middle Eastern country will help earn billions in trade and create hundreds of thousands of new jobs. Kim Ji-yeon has this report.
There's a solid reason why Korea is welcoming Iran with open arms after international sanctions were lifted from the Persian country. The Korea Economic Research Institute estimates Korean exports to Iran will reach $84.5 billion by 2025. That's a staggering rise, considering that as of 2009, Korea's exports to Iran amounted to less than $4.8 billion a year. Some of the promising sectors that will flourish from trade with Iran include infrastructure and facility construction, automobiles, petrochemicals, mobile phones, and cultural content. In particular, trade volume in the construction sector is estimated to reach $18.5 billion, followed by the automobile sector at $17.6 billion. Trade with Iran is also expected to lead to the creation of some 680,000 new jobs, with most of them in the construction services sector, as new buildings and facilities are stapled to be built in the Middle Eastern nation. But to make the rosy projections come true, the institute stated that Korea needs to increase its foreign direct investment in Iran, which nosedived after Seoul joined the bandwagon of imposing international sanctions on Tehran back in 2011. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Korea's jobs report is out. Taking a look at it, it shows that the overall unemployment rate fell in April from the month before, but the youth jobless rate remains stubbornly high. Shin Se-min updates us on the important numbers.
It's a mixed bag for Korea's jobs market in April. Statistics Korea says the country added 252,000 new jobs, bringing the jobless rate down to 3.9% last month. But the number of jobs added has dropped from the previous month, putting the total number of employed at 26.2 million. The climate for young Koreans still looks grim. Statistics Korea says the youth jobless rate in April stood at 10.9%, down from 11.8% the previous month, extending its consecutive drop since February. Still, April's figure is a record high for that month. Cautioning against skepticism, the agency added that the high figures are largely attributed to it being the annual recruitment season when most graduates take civil service exams and apply for corporate interviews.
The large number of graduates seeking jobs after leaving university pushes up the jobless rate in that age bracket, but it also raises the employment rate as well.
The employment rate of those in the 15 to 29 age bracket rose 0.7 percentage points to 41.8% on year.
The fact that there's movement in the country's job front is a good sign, but that's not enough. With the gap between the employment rate of young Koreans and the jobless figure not showing signs of narrowing anytime soon, it's going to be a long-term struggle for a lot of young people.
Although not yet reflected in April's figures, looking ahead, the country's labor market is likely to hit a higher wall in the coming months. This as the government's push for corporate restructuring is likely to push up the unemployment rate in the shipbuilding and construction industries. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Lawmakers started looking into probe into the toxic humidifier sterilizer scandal surrounding the Korean unit of Britain's oxy-racket Benkiser. The three main parties want a hearing on the case, but differ on when it should be held. Kim Young-gil tells us more.
Environment Minister Yoon Sung-gyu appeared before the Parliamentary Environment and Labour Committee on Wednesday to address the toxic humidifier sterilizer scandal surrounding the Korean unit of British firm oxy-racket Benkiser.
The toxic humidifier sterilizer disinfectant case has caused a massive number of deaths, resulting from sales of problematic products and the absence of necessary regulations.
The minister said the government would look into how biocide products that are not authorized for use in other countries came to be sold in Korea. It will also work to verify that other products already on the shelves are safe. A biocide is a chemical substance that can kill living organisms and is found in things like cleaning agents used in the home and insect repellent. The ruling Saenuri Party is pushing for a parliamentary hearing and audit of the companies and government organizations linked to the toxic humidifier disinfectant case, but with one condition.
We should decide on whether to hold a parliamentary hearing after evaluating the progress of the prosecutorial probe. We will negotiate with the opposition parties to fix the schedule.
The opposition parties want to see a hearing held as soon as possible, while the prosecutorial probe is going on.
Although our party is demanding a parliamentary hearing, the government and the ruling Saenuri Party are being hesitant. A hearing is necessary to safeguard the public.
Launching a parliamentary probe into the humidifier disinfectant scandal will be our top priority for the upcoming 20th National Assembly.
The opposition parties also called on the Assembly's fact-finding committee to find out why the prosecution took such a long time to start a probe, when people started filing lawsuits against the company in 2012. In addition, they said the government was responsible for the scandal because of its failure to screen products containing the fatal chemicals. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
A Korean man who put up a protest in London against oxy-racket Benkiser's humidifier sterilizers is back home today in Korea. At a press conference at Incheon International Airport, Mr. Kim Dok-jong said the company's CEO Rakesh Kapoor did not make any effort to come up with more concrete measures regarding compensation of the victims. He is planning to bring criminal charges against the company in collaboration with Korean prosecutors and civic groups in Denmark, where similar claims have arisen. In front of the company's London headquarters, Kim demanded compensation for the loss of his son, who died in 2009 of an illness it says was linked to the products. The Korean government said it is planning to draw up measures to provide financial support to the victims and their families. North Korea's Workers' Party Congress wrapped up with the regime throwing more curveballs to the world, continued pursuit of nuclear upgrades while seeking to improve inter-Korean ties, leaving more questions to be answered. Connie Kim looks into the duality of the North's approach.
Concluding its highest political gathering in 36 years, North Korea called for military talks with South Korea, a proposal to which Seoul continues to hold a consistent and hardline stance.
North Korea has not stopped its threat on South Korea during its review of works and discussions during the Congress. Since Pyongyang has not stated giving up on its nuclear weapons, Seoul believes that the proposal is a propaganda attack lacking sincerity.
Pyongyang stated it will push for a peaceful reunification of the two Koreas, but at the same time threatened to mercilessly wipe out all opposition if Seoul opts for war. Contradictions were also made regarding its nuclear weapons program during work briefings and policy revision discussions.
We achieved great success with our first hydrogen bomb test and the launch of the observation satellite Hwangmyongsong-4. They raised the dignity and might of North Korea to the highest level.
While hailing the great success of the North's grave nuclear provocations and stating he will pursue his twin economic and nuclear development, the young leader also added that Pyongyang will work to denuclearize the world. And considered to be a hint that the North will continuously pursue its nuclear ambitions, the regime's Korean Central News Agency reported Wednesday that Pyongyang has inevitably come to possess nuclear weapons due to Washington's hostility against the North. Kim Jong-un has sought to solidify his leadership through the rare political convention. But the conflicting statements he has made about the North's inter-Korean policy and its nuclear ambitions are likely to further isolate the regime from the international community. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The chances of North Korea conducting a fifth nuclear test at the end of its grand political event seems to have dimmed, according to latest satellite analysis of the North's nuclear test site. Personnel changes at the Congress may indicate a migration away from nuclear developments. Kwon So-hwa turns to some experts' analysis.
It didn't happen before the 7th Workers' Party Congress, and it may not happen anytime soon. The latest analysis from North Korea monitoring website 38 North suggests a nuclear test is not on the horizon. Satellite imagery of movements at the North's Punggye-ri test site from May 8th show low levels of activity at the main portals, and vehicles at the command center that were present on May 5th are no longer there. The possibility of a fifth nuclear test was also debated among U.S. experts on Tuesday during a discussion organized by 38 North. The president and founder of the Institute for Science and International Security, David Albright, said there are indications Pyongyang is preparing for a test, but it's hard to know when the regime will, quote, push the button, as the North has made the timing of the next test difficult to determine from the outside. Another expert said Kim Jong-un's nuclear ambitions may have made a turn since the Congress.
We got some things that suggest that he might start leaning a little bit away from the nuclear. Military is strong enough, in ideology we're strong enough, but we have to work on the economy.
The scholar also said that Kim's offer of military talks with Seoul is important and should be considered seriously, saying tensions would increase again in August with the start of a joint military exercise between South Korea and the U.S. He said something even worse could happen after that. If more opinions like these get to the surface, there are concerns that the U.S. view on dialogue with North Korea could change and eventually conflict with South Korea's view, as Seoul has made clear that talks can only happen if denuclearization comes first. Kwon So-hwa, Arirang News.
Turning our sights back to South Korea now, 8 Korean duty-free shops are in hot waters for price fixing by manipulating their foreign exchange rates. The Fair Trade Commission says the 8 duty-free shops owned by major companies, including Lotte and Silla, colluded for 5 years to charge customers above market prices by fixing foreign exchange rates on local products. The antitrust body issued a correction order for all 8 shops, which is similar to a warning that halts the activity in question. The companies say they applied their own exchange rates because of day-to-day exchange rate fluctuations that affected prices, becoming too much of an inconvenience for them and their customers. The investigation revealed that during the 63-month period between 2007 and 2012, the shops made profits about 60% of the time from the exchange rate fixes. Korea has confirmed its 5th Zika case in a man who returned home last week from the Philippines. The 39-year-old is known to have been bitten by a mosquito during a week-long business trip there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the patient suffered from a rash and muscle aches on Monday and tested positive for the virus the following day. He is now in stable condition but is set to undergo further treatment at Gangwon National University Hospital. Korea has seen 5 Zika cases so far. 3 people contracted it while traveling to the Philippines, 1 to Brazil and another to Vietnam. We have come to the end of this hour's newscast. As always, thank you for watching.